All right. Welcome. Hello, Rob.
Yeah, how you doing, Jim?
I'm fucking great. Every time we do an episode, there's no problems, no audio issues, no OBS issues, no like files not popping up and going into OBS from our Google Drives that we share. No, none of that. It's always quick, plug and play. You know, if we want to do like 500 episodes, we easily can, no issues. We totally
Of
didn't spend
course.
45 minutes fixing shit.
Of course not. We're professionals. That wouldn't be
Yeah.
professional.
Started the recording so I could show my
Oh my
face.
God, that's even worse. Hold up.
Oh my god, it is. Is it your alien guy?
What about him?
Is is it your alien guy?
What does he have to do about this?
He's taking up valuable resources and
I am recording right now. Fuck, never mind. Eh,
hopping around back there, causing a lot of OBS doesn't know what to do. Discord doesn't.
Uh,
Man, that's still shit. That's still shite. What am I doing? Yeah, of course not. We're pros at this.
hmm.
Um,
Shit.
but I'm good. I'm good. How are you, man?
Shit, I'm doing fantastic. I've had
Good.
a pretty sick week for
Oh, why is
reasons we
that?
will. Well, the topic of our video, if you
Do
want to get into
do it. I sure boy should I.
it.
What? Um, for because I know what we're talking about because I'm the host for today's episode.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So we are going to talk about, and I have a few different things that we're going to do differently in the podcast. Starting with the reason for today's episode. What the fuck? God damn it. Hold on.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
Hold on. Everyone calm down. Um, it's fine. What the?
Misinput. Misinput.
Yeah, misinput. Hold on, sir. Hold on.
Yeah.
This looks cool, but still.
Yeah.
Joe filters, chroma, blue. Ah, ah. It's
Oh, you,
canon, but Jesus.
yeah, just like Miles, bro.
Yeah, just like mouse. Custom color. Yeah, sure. Select color. It's a good color. Yellow.
Yeller.
Yeah, let's do yellow. Is that any better? That is not. Oh my god. Yeah, I wasn't planning on this. Should I just
Damn,
leave it
bro.
like this? Hold on. Let's, let's try let's try darker blue. That didn't work. Hold on.
Mm.
Pink. Ooh, why is that? Custom.
Almost there. We almost got it.
Yeah. No. Ooh. Damn me and my colorful orange picking. Ooh, I know, perfect. Why does that not work? Why does orange not work?
Mess with the similarity a little bit.
Hey, you're a genius. You see my eyes? I'm actually
Yeah.
looking at you this time. It's crazy. A little bit off, but okay. So now I have to figure out how to make Vito Tube be orange. Background. Let's just do pink and see if we can do pink. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's no one can tell, it's um. Fuck. There you go. You know what? I'm okay with being a little pink. You know what?
Yeah.
Pride. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, today's theme of the episode is Spider-Man, Spider-Men, Spider-Women, Spider-Babies.
Our people, man.
And,
Dude,
and
I'm
the
so
Vel
hyped.
background, that's totally not Mar whatever. That's Vel. That's totally licensed. Um anyways, yeah. So me and Rob
Marvel.
Marvel, yes, Marvel background. Tom Rormy.
Oh,
Man,
Roby.
A-Man.
Amen.
God, I love the A-Man movie. But yeah, um going into it, I will be hosting the Spider episode. We both me and Rob and a couple friends watched the Across the Spider Verse movie, and it was, dare I say, fucking fantastic.
It was so sick.
Oh my god,
Best
dude!
Spider-Man movie, dude.
I had the biggest spider boner, dude.
Yeah, the web shooters are on full blast, man.
Yeah. Oh my god. Um, fucking, it was just so great. It was, and we'll get into it, but first, like, we'll just casually talk, warm up our voice vessels, whatever they call. And we're going to talk in the middle of the section, we're going to talk about Spider-Man in general. I'm in fact not as knowledgeable as my lovely co-host Rob.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm a
and
fucking spider nerd, man.
yeah, as I'm a Deadpool nerd, but Deadpool and Spider-Man, they go hand in hand in the comics. If you did not know, yeah,
Yeah, they're bros.
yeah, they got a bromance going.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, man, I really love that movie. I honestly, I wish I could have watched it in IMAX because of the visuals are just drop dead gorgeous. They're just really great,
Yeah.
and they're still like this era of animation. Like you sent me like a TikTok and stuff about it, but how we went from like Boss Baby to like now like Puss in Boots, into the Spider Verse and shit like that. It's so cool. Like I want more of these
Yeah.
styles of movies. And like the bad guys, I haven't watched that yet, but like I want more.
Yeah, I think it's actually gonna happen. Usually, I'm pretty pessimistic about these things, but like, this movie made so much money. Like,
Yeah.
the corporate overlords are definitely gonna be
Hmm.
happy with this one.
Well, see, just to drop into it, like I this is kind of part of the like near the end spiel about like the art theory and shit about like these movies that I want to talk about. Um with the corporate overlords, like there's a writers strike that is or was going on. You know, like if you don't have the writers and the artists behind it and just have the corporate overlords, they can easily do like stuff with this style of thing, but it's not going to be nearly as good. So many artists put their blood, sweat, and tears into this project. Both one and two of the Spider-Man animated movies, but also fucking like Puss in Boots and the bad guys. You can see the love and dedication that the team put in, and I can't wait for me to own the movies and watch the special like scenes and credits about like them talking about it. You know?
Dude, the merch. I want to have all the merch, but dude, one thing I already noticed, freaking, we'll get into it later, just
Mm-hmm.
how much I love this particular character. But it's Spider Punk is in the movie, right? And his figure has been on sale for like the past 6 months already because it was just like from pushing the movie back, even though the sale things were still being sold already,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like $24, and I just never got it because I just wasn't. I was like, okay, I'll get it later. I'll get it later. I kept putting it off. This
Yeah.
movie comes out. I check it 2 days later. The price of the figure's already pumped up to like $35, and I'm like, God dang it!
Jeez. That's I mean, $35
Like,
dollars not crazy, but like seeing that jump of like $10 and like if anything it's gonna go up even more.
yeah. And
Like
the thing
you
is, I almost feel bad because you can see the difference because like
mhm,
Miles's figure, obviously people love Miles, but just it's just the how much people love Spider Punk.
mhm.
Miles's figure is actually still $22 when his went up to, and then there's like
Ah, that's such bullshit.
then there's like the the cyborg Spider Woman. Did you see
Yeah.
her?
Hmm.
Like
No, actually,
her
no.
figure. Well, she showed up for like 2 minutes in the background in the movie, but they gave her a figure, and that figure is
What?
like $20 because no one even knows that character, and I
Oh
don't even
man.
know what made them give her a figure. But I mean, the design is sick. It's a really sick
Hmm.
figure, but no one, it's just no one knows about that character because it was like a background character.
Yeah. It's
It just,
it's very weird. I think that goes with the marketing thing of like what they want to roll out, and like I think with marketing teams, like, oh, it's a female, girls will buy it probably, and then that's why they rolled it out probably. Maybe I don't know. That could be me talking out my ass, but it's my theory.
well, I don't, I kind of thought they were gonna push that character a lot, just like, but you know, okay, we'll get to it a little later. Why I don't think they pushed that character, but
Yeah.
yeah, for now,
Um. Yeah. For now, we'll go there because my goal for me hosting, because I'm gonna be put on blast and like burned and rocks thrown at me if we easily talk about like spoiler territory and stuff like that
Mm.
too soon without me putting a spoiler warning. So we'll get to like very like loose late like base stuff, and like honestly we are going to talk about Into the Spider Verse. So if you haven't watched that yet, definitely recommend watching that before you do it if you care about spoilers for that movie.
Mm.
But across the Spider Verse, we are going in spoiler territory. And Rob,
Yeah.
you're watching it again today, aren't you?
Yeah, right after this, I got a friend whose birthday was just yesterday. Just shout out to my boy.
Nice.
Uh and he's a big Spider-Man fan too, so we're all gonna go watch it. And that'll be the second viewing for me. I'm probably gonna watch it one more time before it gets out of the theaters.
No,
I
that's
wanna
good.
find a theater nearby that has like the 4D, like the seats that move and stuff. Because I was like, I saw a TikTok and apparently people are like, oh, if you go watch that movie in like 4D or whatever they call it, I don't even know if it's called that, but if you go watch it in like the high definition thing with the seats moving and stuff, you're literally
Hmm.
going to get beat up just alongside Miles because the seats are going to throw you around.
Yeah.
And that sounds so sick.
We'll get back into that because like I almost jumped out and just like wanted to talk about a couple scenes that I fucking love so much. They did so well. But oh, I'm trying. I really want to get into it, but we'll save it. We'll save it. Put a pin. Um, but excited. This is definitely a movie like you. In my personal opinion, I would wait to watch it in your comfort of your own home so you can like watch it in full clarity because I'm more of a visual person than like audio and stuff like that. Like audio
Mm.
and movie theaters are great, but I mean in our hometown and stuff like that, it's we don't have like I'm like at least not IMAX anymore or like the 4Ds like super close by. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean watching it at 4K if you can, or like even if you have a good surround like speaker in your home or a sound bar, oh god, you're gonna be in a good mood, good time.
If you do have one of the 40s or the IMAXs, I think you definitely should go watch it. If you don't, then yeah, like you said, I feel like it's definitely gonna be a fun one to watch at home for like the movie nights and stuff.
Yeah,
But
because there's not many movies I would rewatch to like analyze, but this is definitely one of them. But go ahead.
I would say on the topic of audio, apparently a bunch of movie theaters, like apparently the Spider-Verse cat crew and like the audio engineers were sending out letters for the movie theaters to play it at a specific volume. I think they
Mm-hmm.
said 7, which is usually the max, I think, for movie theaters.
Oh
And then
man.
apparently a lot of movie theaters just didn't do it because they either didn't see that note or didn't care for whatever reason. And apparently that's why a lot of people were having this experience where they weren't hearing dialogue, like the music seemed too loud, but it was because it wasn't played at that specific volume.
Yeah. Do you feel like our when we went to go watch it, like it was pretty low? Because we watched it like day one that it premiered.
Yeah.
So we
I
could have.
There were some parts, but a lot of them were with Spider Punk, and I don't know if that was maybe more his accent than anything. Because
I could
I
not
felt like
understand him at first. I was like, I looked over to like, I forgot who it was. I don't think it was you. I think it was our friend Will. And I was just like, do you understand what he's saying? And then he's just like, he's just engrossed in it. And then I felt bad for asking. And I was like, just sitting there and like, I don't know if it's just my lizard goblin brain or
no, dude, you weren't alone. I was just using context clues for the most part. I was just like, man, he sounds cool. I
yeah, he
mean,
sounds
I don't know
cool,
what
but
he's
what is
saying,
he
but he
saying?
sounds
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. You know,
Like,
it's it's like
I'm not, he has to be one of the first British people whose accents I actually like enjoyed listening to for like a
yeah,
long
oh my
time.
god. Yeah, that like normally it's just like him saying this like what and then like oh my god. Like what of it? It was like, oh my god, he probably ooh, never mind. Never mind. We'll get to that. Shoot. Okay. Cause oh, I have like a whole segment of like because you know more about it than me because you brought into light and I think you're getting on to what I'm saying about, but I want to talk about that whole bit because I knew nothing about it.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, let's get back to structure. First intro. What are we? How are we looking on time? We can either
About
do this in.
14 in.
Okay, so 14 in. Okay,
Mhm.
let's talk about Spider-Man lore. Not spoiler territory, but just like what makes Spider-Man, Rob? Let me ask the Derek. Can I call you an expert? Can I call you
Hey, I
arachnid
try to be humble, but I think I'm a arachnophobe.
enjoyer? Are you
Yeah, I enjoy the spider people.
yeah. I it's not like I never the only Spider-Man game I played or like even comic books I read is the ones comic books that had Spider-Man and Deadpool in it, like with Hitmonkey. That's my like one of my favorites so far right now. There's a lot more, but and then the Spider-Man either 2 or 1 PS2 game or PS1 game.
Mm,
And I was like, "Oh my god, this is cool. I can swing around the ropes and things." And then I just never played any other game.
I got you.
Yeah.
So
But
so
you
you got a pretty limited experience,
yeah,
but
so like but I still enjoyed the movies and stuff. Like going into this like kind of blind because I knew nothing about the Spider-Verse or anything before I watched part 1 or 2. I still felt like I was properly introduced to the lore and stuff and like still felt engaged, which a lot of movies I can't get into like that. But this was very
mm.
like new uh dummy small brain energy like acceptance. So but I'll let you like
Well, I'd say the movie is definitely one you can enjoy without knowing as much as I do, as much as like super dedicated fans do, which
oh
is
yeah.
really good. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a bonus. It's literally just a bonus for me to know that stuff because I'll see a character and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh, that's him. It's Spider-Man. You
Yeah.
know?
That's what they said
And
like a
I'm
thousand times. I was like, it's Spider-Man every time when someone popped up.
like, when we went with all our friends, my girlfriend was sitting next to me, and every time a character popped up that I knew, I was like just describing the lore in her ear. And I tried not to be annoying about it, but I couldn't help it, man.
Were you
Like,
were you mansplaining in the movie theater?
no, man,
Your
I
legs
tried
wide
not
and
to.
you're just like, you know that's Spider-Man, right? But
You
not
know,
but it's
you're not
Spider-Man
gonna
six
enjoy the
one
movie if you
seven.
don't know exactly where he comes from. You don't understand the significance of being here.
Meanwhile, I'm just like 3 rows down and I'm leaning to my friend who is also named Joseph and we call him Joey. And I'm like, hey, it's Spider-Man, but blue. It's Spider-Man,
Oh
but
man.
female.
Like
And then
I want to
he
go
turns over,
into
he's like,
the
oh sorry.
I want to go into the people like I just want to start just naming off characters, but I don't know if they count as spoilers. But
Um
if I
I
keep
think
it
nothing
background, do you think it
trailer.
counts?
anything like trailer, like if it's in the trailer, then technically, can you consider what's a spoiler?
I think only if they're plot relevant, I would count them as a spoiler.
What is considered a spoiler? Spoiler alert. A spoiler is usually
Spoiler.
defined as a remark or piece of information which reveals important plot elements.
Okay, so they're
Surprise,
not
everyone!
plot
Spider Man's
relevant.
in the movie.
Yeah, man, Spider-Man. Oh
Oh,
man, I
I
get.
think so. Like it depends because like spoilers for anybody who didn't watch is it No Way Home is when
Hmm.
they had all three Spider-Mans cuz they never showed it. They never showed right that they had all two of them.
Yeah, see, but I would call them plot relevant though.
Yeah, they are because and that's what I would say spoilers, but like you can't I would say fuck it. You know what? I'll get yelled at in the comments and stuff and in the reels or whatever if this is spoilers and you know what? Fight me. I don't care. He's a
I
Spider-Man
mean,
expert. Talk
yeah,
about it.
we're about 19 minutes in, and we
Yeah.
just argued about spoilers for about 2 minutes. So if you haven't clicked off yet, then you should not care.
Yeah.
But I just so there's just a bunch of Spider-Man just like from the out like the past decades that
Mhm.
just every time they showed up, I just had a big old smile on my face. Like there's Spectacular Spider-Man. So he's from like the 2000s cartoon, and like everyone who grew up with Spider-Man loves that version. Like it's probably the best Spider-Man cartoon, and it got like cut short just because that was around the time Sony like was getting the rights to Spider-Man, and like
Oh, I never watched it.
one it was really good. It was like
Mhm.
he it was Peter in like his teenage years, and like
Yeah.
it was like he had is God, how many like mixed up, but that's like the Spider-Man everyone calls like the Riz Spider-Man. There's like every season he had a different girlfriend for some reason, and then he just like had like the angst too because they did the whole black suit arc and stuff. And I would say like he's just it was a really cool series because it's one of those ones that balances like the nerdy side of Peter Parker without making him annoying, and then
Mhm.
also does the tragic part of Peter Parker without being feeling like dang they're just beating this character down for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's a big controversy with Spider-Man lately, especially with the comics and stuff. Because like, do you know anything about what's going on in the comics?
No.
So like in the comics, like he got sent to a random universe, him and MJ,
Mhm.
and then MJ needed to. They had like they built a device so he can go back, but he can only send one person. But MJ made it so it sent Peter back to the other dimension,
Oh.
and Peter
Like
had
back
to
in
find a
time
way
or in a whole
back.
different like Spider-Man universe.
Different dimension. Like it sent them to a well, it sent them back to the OG dimension that they weren't trapped in.
So
So
but like what's the difference between a dimension and like a spider verse thing because like that has a different Spider-Man and stuff. Like is that two
well,
different things or if
not
did she get
really.
sent back? Okay.
No, they were just different dimensions. It wasn't one where there was another Spider-Man in particular. It was just a different place. Like it wasn't really Spider-Verse related. It was just a different dimension.
Okay.
And Peter was trying to get back to MJ, and
Hmm.
apparently the time worked differently. So it'd been like years and years by the time he got back to her.
Yeah.
And this is not to mention he had to like he was in a hurry because of the time difference. Like a couple minutes is like weeks and stuff. So he's like hurrying and he can't explain anything to anybody. But of course, the Avengers and the Fantastic Four just don't trust him enough for whatever reason, just because they're dicks like that for some reason. And that's another thing.
Yeah.
When people write Spider-Man comics, for some reason, all the other superheroes just hate him sometimes. Like
For Spider-Man?
sometimes, yeah, like sometimes they respect him and he's the best of us and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's plot convenient, they just hate him. He's annoying. Oh, we don't trust him because he wears a mask. And it's just like, come on, man. He's been helping these people for like decades and they still are treating them like that. So he has to fight the Avengers, which that scene was honestly kind of sick because he does do it pretty masterfully. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
take them all down, but he's like playing getaway to try to take the technology to get back with MJ and whatnot. So after all that ordeal, he gets back, and then MJ is like with some other dude, and they have two kids, and that's like the biggest controversy right now. 'Cause they're like, why would you do that to him? Like, it's so
Mm.
unnecessary.
It is
But
weird. Like, and I do want to. We like it, I won't get into like with this across the Spider-Man movie, but like they I've been watching a lot of video essays about like Spider-Man villains and specifically the main one. Like it's not spoilers, but the main one for the guy the Spot and stuff, and the way like comics have treated him is just crazy, and it's interesting to see that they depending if it's not plot related and stuff like that, they will just like shit on Spider. Like they will give him the Batman treatment, like make every like him the bad guy, you know.
yeah,
But I guess wasn't Spider Man and Tom Raimi's Spider Man? He got the same treatment like towards the like mid arc, like in the either part two or part three. You know what I'm
oh, you're
talking about?
talking. Yeah, he had that existential crisis, as he calls it,
Yeah, but people
where he got
started
the
viewing
web
him as a
block.
bad guy.
Oh well, yeah. Okay, so that is part of the Spider-Man mythos to an extent. Like people treating him as a bad guy, but that's
Mm-hmm.
usually just the public. Usually, other superheroes know better than that. They know
Yeah.
that he's like out here trying to help people.
Oh.
It's usually, J. Jonah Jameson and the
Yeah.
Daily Bugle putting people
Mm-hmm.
against him. And the term depending on what's going on at the time, like you have
Mm-hmm.
things where like he accidentally, like let's say someone just died on the scene and he just happened to be there and it just kind of gets blamed on him. There's stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then there's times like when he wore the black suit where he was genuinely a bad person for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then it's kind of his fault. And then besides that, usually the outlook on Spider-Man is mainstream bad, but the people on the ground, like the people in the city, usually trust him to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's kind of how it usually needs to be. Like it makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah. But like in this case, they like the heroes were viewing him like bad and they were fighting him.
Yeah, they
Okay.
just weren't trusting him.
Mm-hmm.
But the comics are kind of a mess right now, I will say. Like, if you ask any big Spider-Man fan, they'll tell you video games, movies, to extent, like shows, or Spider-Man's been like eaten for since 2016. It's just been a great experience. But the comics have been atrocious for a very long time,
Yeah.
sadly. They had a couple good runs when they went back to basics and stuff, but you know, that's just the thing with comics because you have different writers like every couple months, and some writers just aren't as good as others, or some writers have specific ideas that they want to do or
Mm-hmm.
push that like completely go against what the last writer did. Like this run currently, that was the one I was talking about, where Peter and MJ kind of like the run right before this, they had just gotten back together for like the 20th time because, like I said, every other writer wants to break them up for some reason.
Yeah.
And all the fans like celebrated them
Isn't
getting back together.
isn't there like
And
another like girl? It's like is it it's Gwen? No, was it Gwen or is it somebody else that he normally
Gwen,
gets with?
Gwen's dead right now.
Oh,
But
this is the current issue in the comic.
yeah, but dude, when I tell you, Peter Parker's been around. He's had like,
I mean, there's Black Cat or whatever. What's her name? That's all I know because of the Spider-Man game.
yeah, there's Black Cat, but like he's had like a lot of like normal girl relationships, like at least
Mm,
20. So I mean, Peter Parker usually has a relationship per comic. If it's not MJ, it's somebody else.
yeah.
Or if it's not Black Cat, it's currently Black Cat after
Mm-hmm.
all that business with the interdimensional new guy,
Mm.
Paul.
I'm sorry. Are we still talking about Spectacular Spider-Man or just like the new comic issue? I'm
We're talking about the new comics.
okay. I'm sorry. I was
Yeah.
like, I
Spectacular had the
promise I'm a great
Riz.
listener.
Yeah, I'm confused. I'm going all over the place. But
Yeah.
Spectacular did have the Riz, but
Mm-hmm.
in the comics, over this past like 50 years, that 60, I think he's at now.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's had plenty of relationships.
Okay. Um. Let's focus again. Let's get back on track. So you wanted to talk about like all the Spider-Mans that you've seen, and I think that would take a long time. But like, what's your top five spider like arachnid heroes that you saw in the movie that was like yeah, like fuck yeah, it was like you saw her
Oh,
or saw
okay.
her.
So Insomniac Spider-Man was in there. Very happy about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, who else? There's a Spectacular again.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Ben Riley, who I think
Is
they
that
did
the
did
one
Ben
with
Riley a little.
the hoodie, the like the really like depressed guy?
Yeah, they did him dirty. They should have did him
Mm.
like I
Yeah,
get the
he kind of.
joke, and it was kind of funny
Mm-hmm.
because he was this main Spider-Man in like the 90s when him Peter Parker took a little break, and he kind of went through it a lot, so it's kind of understandable. But at the same time, I feel like he's still in the comics to this day, and he's always going through it. It's always something, man. I just wish he could just get a break. And I guess I was my knee jerk reaction when I saw that. I was like, dang, why they gotta
Mm-hmm.
do my dog like that, man? But I still enjoyed it. They still kind of captured like his style and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like even if you like me, I knew nothing about him and stuff. I could tell he had significance, and like if I wanted to, and I probably will, I can do my own research, and you can get into that Spider-Man rabbit hole, which is really cool. But it all of it didn't feel like overwhelming. Like I wasn't like let down because I was missing like information about that character, if that makes sense.
Right. So
Um, but that's three so far. Like, right? You said Ben O'Reilly, Spectacular. The other one, the first one, I forgot.
uh Ben Riley, Spectacular, and then the Insomniac Spider-Man from the new games. He
Mm-hmm.
was in there, and that was pretty sick. And then Sun Spider. Have you heard of Sun Spider before?
Sun Spider? No.
So he's pretty recent to the comics. There's this run called like the Edge of Spider-Verse, and they were just kind of like just showing a bunch of unique spider people. And Sun Spider is like the first disabled spider person.
Mm.
She was the one who had the like crawling wheelchair.
Oh, I did see her. Yeah, I did wonder that.
Yeah, so she has like crutches that she uses, and her web shooters are like on the end of the crutches. It's actually so sick.
So it's crutches or the wheelchair?
She has both.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. I mean,
So
that is
that
cool. I
was
don't know
really
why
cool
I
to
said
me.
kind of. Yeah, I do enjoy like all of the variety of Spider-Man that can be. I mean, the same thing for Deadpool because Deadpool. I mean, we can talk about it another episode, but he has a lot of variations as well. Like, um, I'll just put in. There's not a lot of like. There's a lot of Spider-Mans that I like, but I'll put in for. And we already crossed spoiler territory, so fuck you. Um, but Spider Rex or whatever, Spider T Rex, that was cool. I was like, hell
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Because there's a
I
Deadpool Panda and Deadpool T Rex, and it's yeah. I'm glad they showed a little bit of wackiness into the universe.
So you want to know his origin?
Um, we can get into it a little bit, yeah, because I'm still trying to as like I'm trying to facilitate time wise, and I know we both are on a crunch thing, but also to keep focus. But yeah, we can go over his or her.
Okay, his. So
Okay.
I will keep it brief.
Yeah.
So in that universe, he was a pterodactyl, right?
Ah.
Peter Pterodactyl.
Okay.
So, but he was
Uh,
fighting, or he was getting chased by the Green Goblin, who is in that universe was a T-Rex.
ah.
But then
Of
they
course.
both got hit by a spider meteor,
What? What?
and it switched their bodies and gave the pterodactyl, who is now a T-Rex, spider powers. And that's basically how it worked. And then he started getting chased, and now the Green Goblin is a pterodactyl, and he wants revenge on Spider Rex.
But it's not Spider Rex's fault. It's the fucking meteor's fault. What the fuck?
Well, he's just evil, you know.
Well,
It just
yeah.
it's a little bit.
I would have been stoked to be like, this conforms to my character. This is I can fly now.
You're right.
Yeah. That's kind
Oh,
of cool. That's kind of goofy. I like little wacky
man.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
love the wacky stuff, the wacky characters.
yeah. Um, you wanna segue into the next portion of cause what time do we have now? Cause I have 40 minutes on my
30.
30.
Oh, I had like, yeah, little over 30.
Okay. I think it's good to go on like the movie itself and then like the Spider Verse movies, and then near the end like talk about like um the movie itself, and then we get into heavy spoiler territory
Yeah,
if that's cool with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
get to
All right. So with the notes that I have, that is very formally stacked in front of me and not on just my phone.
it.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It I would say like was that the first time it went into like that style of animation, or was there a movie before it? Can
Ah,
you
no,
recall?
they definitely innovated. I don't think I've ever seen that style anywhere else.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Again, full disclosure, both me and Rob, shocker, human beings can be wrong. But hey, you know what? We'll take the mantle. This is the bravery that we have amongst ourselves is that we are gonna address it. But I would say, yeah, that's the first time I've seen that style, and it works. But it wasn't perfect. Like that's still my Spider-Man movie, but I gave it a 9 out of 10. Like I feel like because this is the first Spider-Man movie, Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm,
Um, and my reasoning is that it could do more, and that's what the new movie came. It's still a 9.8. Like I know I told you
mm,
9.5 like in the theater, but like once I knew more and like more of the it's just like the details I want to get into is like Picasso, like mwah.
oh
But
yeah.
with the first one, I feel like that was still like the wild frontier of like them with that style and what they can do with it. um and they heavily focused on like comic panels, like comic stuff, like speech bubbles, his thoughts and stuff like that. They didn't
Yeah.
do that much in the second one, which is a good and bad, but mainly good because I really feel like they honed what that style is. And I'll go more in depth with it. But I wanted to see like your thoughts on that. Like how do you think on the segue or like the progress? And even like you can mention the other movies like Bad Guys, Puss in Boots. There's another one called is it Intergalactic or something with I'll remember it, but Fred put it up on the screen so the viewers, for people who are watching, will know on like YouTube, and
Mm.
TikTok. But yeah, that's how do you think they progressed a lot?
Well, I feel like if I had to like explain the way I see the studio, it feels like a bunch of art students were just given an unlimited budget to try anything they wanted. and all the things that worked, they just put it together because it felt like they were just innovating constantly, like
Hmm.
in making new tech and making new techniques to animate the different spider people, which I don't know whose idea it was to like animate characters differently per universe, but they just need like I don't know, dude, a raise. I don't know if a raise is enough, man. Awards,
You mean an
everything, because
Emmy? An
an
Emmy? An
Emmy.
animated film needs an Emmy? Whoa! Oh my god! Was it an Emmy
It's
or Oscar? Fuck.
Oscar.
Whatever
Yeah.
one that never gets like animation credit, like the films of animation, like they still thinks are cartoons. I could be wrong. They could have changed that by last year, but it's still like stupid how that's a thing. Like they don't. There's a big award ceremony in the U.S. that they don't give out for animated movies. But sorry, that's just my little rant.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lack of respect for animation. And but this movie, okay, the first Spider-Verse was innovative and I loved it. But this movie here, Beyond the Spider-Verse, or Across the Spider-Verse, Beyond is like the new one that's going to come out. But
Mm,
this one right here is the one I would show anybody who feels like cartoons are just kid stuff and like they don't deserve the same respect. Because if you can watch this movie and still think that the art is not at the same level as like a live action thing, then you're
yeah,
just I don't know. There's no other way to say it. Your head's just up there, man. Just
yeah,
get off it, mate. I don't,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Get some dents and curls in that smooth brain of yours, man. What are
For
you
real,
doing?
bro.
And I agree. I'll fight anybody on that hill. Like it's, and not just because we're both animators, or like artists, and like we want to represent that community, but it's just for so many years and decades, there's not a lot of like good like representation, and like proof. I mean, there's proof. Like there's even before Into the Spider Verse came around, animated films like they had good plot points, good character progression, good like Avatar the Last Airbender that had character progression. It made you like have that gut wrench feelings, not even just as kids but even as an adult you can get that. But just having like that mentality of like, oh, you want to draw cartoons and stuff, like, or you still watch cartoons, and like I feel like maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like some people still would have the thing of like, oh, you're not bringing a kid to a Spider-Man animated film. What are you? Like you're like it's not. It's, and granted, I did not see a lot of kids, but there were kids there, you know.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and not saying that's a bad thing. Like it's great both
I'm
around,
saying
and
that's
like
a bad thing. Never
why?
mind. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Why? Like this is why we talk. I'm
No, no, I'm
intrigued.
just joking. The
Oh, okay.
kids.
Are you saying as
So,
like as like you in the theater, or just like in a general thing?
in a theater, like I
Oh,
don't. I'm just joking, but
yeah,
there was one moment or multiple moments where I'm going on a tangent, quick tangent,
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
quickly,
You're good. You're good.
where kids, I don't know if anybody else has ever observed this, where kids do this thing where they're just learning, so they copy
Hmm.
each other. So
Yeah.
like there was this thing where one kid would laugh and all the other kids would be like, "Oh, that means I should laugh now too." And they kept chain laughing like way after the joke was over. It was so funny. I was like, "What are y'all doing, bro?"
They
But
do like
no,
the like they kneel over and stuff, start like slapping their knee, like after just watching one kid like bust out laughing.
yeah.
Yeah, I did
Like,
see that as well.
but as a whole, I would love for my kid to see this movie. Like, this is something that I definitely want kids to grow up with and watching because
Oh
this
yeah,
is some inspirational stuff. Like, this will
this is like one of
inspire
those
future artists.
VHS moments. Like, hey, you're watching this now, little Timmy.
Yeah, dude. Come see some culture, man.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like your this is a requirement for you to be on this, for for you to be part of my genetic code. You're This is a requirement.
Like, they, I will say, as hard as it is, they balanced making like it accessible to kids,
Hmm.
but still making it like enjoyable for adults. Because I would say my only complaint for this movie, really, is that there's a lot of dialogue that's really on point. Like it's not there's not a lot of depth to some of it. Like they're just straight up talking their feelings sometimes, which it wasn't like comically bad. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like it's not like they were saying, "Oh, I'm sad right now" or nothing like that. But it was just like so straightforward. But that's because kids are still developing that like
Yeah.
ability, to understand subtext and stuff. So I understood it and it didn't bother me that much. But I would say that was literally my only complaint.
I get that, and that's valid. But I still, for me personally, it didn't take away from the movie. I still was able to like focus and like um analyze the movie and stuff. Like, and then I would love to watch it again, like again at my own home, so I can fully like digest it and dissect it. Um,
Hmm.
but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and well, as back to the animation, like
Hmm.
as far as the insanity, um, are we far enough to talk about Hobie yet?
Um, we should be like if you want to go ahead and because what I wanted to capture is just like because I don't think you fully think, but like, do you feel like again to address the question that I asked, um, the progression of like that style of animation, and do you feel like they really narrowed it down, like the that style? Do you feel like this style of animation and like the way of storytelling, the way of like different styles, multiple different styles in just one movie, and not even just styles. Anybody who knows animation, like the frame rate is different for some characters. The some scenes
Hmm.
are animated on like twos or threes, and that's there's reasoning by it behind it, and we're gonna go, or at least I'm gonna want to go more in depth in it further. But for the question for you, um, Rob, do you think like we still have some time to go, like to fully perfect it, or do you feel like they narrow down like the base of this style of animation?
So I feel like there's still more to go. I don't
Okay,
know what it would be, but I feel like they're at the cusp of perfection,
yeah, like they're
and I
missing something.
like yeah, I think it's just a tweaking thing because
Mm-hmm.
I think their biggest problem, and it might not even be a problem because I could see someone if you were an art student and you're about to bullshit me on how your thing represents something, you could do it very easily. But I feel like there's a lot of visual clutter, and the thing is, they can't help that if they're trying to do what they're doing. There's just so much all going on screen, but it's just a little too chaotic, I feel like sometimes. And when you have the characters animated differently and you have like four characters on screen animating differently, it kind of like messes with your eyes a bit and you almost
Yeah,
lose that, like you lose the effect because
like it's
you're
very jarring.
yeah, it's jarring, and then sometimes your brain is auto smoothing out the animation, so it doesn't even take the effect that they wanted it to have. So I feel like that's like the only thing they have to maybe find out how to have a set of different animation styles instead of animating things completely differently. But at the same time, it's like I enjoy the chaos at this point though.
Mm-hmm.
Like two movies in, it doesn't bother me anymore. It only bothered me maybe like the first 20 minutes of the movie, and then
Yeah.
but at that point I was kind of over it. By the time we were in like the Citadel area, I was over it. So I don't know. I don't know what they could do to change it at this point, honestly.
Um, I think for just specifically talking about the Spider Verse movies, I think it's great for the styles being so jarring because they have, and this will let us segue into Hobie. Um, like the prime example, like they really fully, I think they mastered, or they're getting close, really close to mastering having different styles in this universe, and not to make it so jarring because, um, the so I'm trying to collect my words. So in the first Spider-Man Spider-Verse movie, we see Miles struggling to like master his like web slinging abilities or being Spider-Man. and that I you can quote me if I'm wrong, but his like the swinging scene when they get away from what is it called, the facility, Alchemax, not
Alchemax, yeah.
Alchemax, yeah. We can see like Miles is swinging on like the frames of like, is it twos or probably threes, and then Peter is swinging like perfectly. He's like fluid and stuff, but you can see the jaggedness of Miles, and that is like the subtle differences is supposed to help support the storytelling. So that's great. Now
Mm.
random stuff. I think where you're talking about is maybe like styles. Like there's a point in, and again this is major spoil territories. Like we're going to talk about the new movie now, starting now. So welcome viewers to the Thunderdome. You got how much time do we get? Playtime. Sorry,
Okay.
I love Randy Savage. Anyways, um, but so in the beginning of the movie, we see like the cops showing up to go up to that Green Goblin, the Da Vinci, whatever. That style is great because obviously it introduces us, even if you haven't watched the first movie, like, hey, this person is obviously from a different universe. There's no like if,
Mm.
ands, or buts. So that's great. Even though it's kind of jarring, it's weird seeing him in that settings. That's the purpose of the movie, is to, even without specifically saying it, I mean, I think it did. I think it told us in like the comic book titles, which you loved, by the way, right? That it
Yeah.
that it described like the characters or which Earth and stuff from them. I can't remember for
Hmm.
sure because this is
It,
very like.
so when you read comics, like, because of the continuity thing,
Mm-hmm.
because there'll be like 50 comics intertwining into one storyline, and you just like more than likely you're just not reading them all. You're just following one character, and they'll put boxes on the screen on the well the page, and they're called editor notes, and they're like it'll basically describe where the character is from, or if he brought up a past event, it'll describe, hey, you can read this comic to find out about that event, and they like integrated that into the movie, and it was so sick. Like I was just smiling every time I saw one pop up.
I agree. Like it's, I like that, but I can't remember for sure if they introduced us to that character like in the very like first seconds you see him on screen, or again having that stark contrast of styles because he was like brown, that like coffee stained paper of like design and stuff, and so was his like items he was using and stuff, and that was cool. I like that.
Mm.
But in the same scene, like going into it, we see the police showed up of that. I think it's of that universe, or of a or maybe it's the universe where Gwen is in, Spider Gwen.
Yeah.
Um, those flashing lights of like that styles, it was very jarring to me. Like I couldn't focus. Like it took me out of like the immersion. Like I get it, it's hectic. Like the police, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm.
Like
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's kind of it was meant to be jarring, and that
yeah.
character was not meant to be taken seriously at all. And I feel like it was partly why he looked like that.
No, no, no,
But
no, no. Not the character. The police sirens, the flashing lights on the scene. Where it had
oh,
everybody like, it wasn't ray tracing, but it had everybody like in that scene is like red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, and it was like flashing. It wasn't like trying to get me like epileptic seizures, but it felt so jarring that I lost the immersion. And I feel like stuff like that is what you're maybe talking about. You know what I mean?
okay. So like, yeah, like for scene by scene stylistic choices,
Yeah.
I think it's like there'd be a scene where two characters are talking, and like the whole style of like the whole art style basically changes for that scene.
Yeah.
And I yeah, is that what you're talking about?
It's not the whole style because I'm okay with that. Like you're talking about like when Gwen has that father and daughter talk and it's specifically Gwen based, that's fine. Um what I was talking about, I don't know, I'm trying to find the trailer. And I'll put it on screen if when I find it, maybe I'll find a bootleg version or something. I mean, completely legitimate way, but it's just stuff like that. I'm gonna show examples on screen that I'm talking about. but it took me out of that, like me viewing and being in that scene. But I get it because again, police sirens are there and something's bad's going on. But I don't think that was the intent of having it so jarring. I just feel like that messed with me personally of viewing with the movie, and I don't know if that what you mean you meant. Um,
Mm.
but having different styles just in general. But I'm talking about the way it's animated. So the pacing of the flashing lights was very distracting to me. The vibrance of it wasn't too distracting, but the fact that it just kept going on in the scene, or like the positioning of like the camera, quote unquote, of the scene, it was too close, and it wasn't. I feel like it should have needed like a more further back view. It's hard for me to explain right now without like showing it. Um, but hopefully I make a little bit of sense, at least my point of view. I'm still struggling to see what you mean though, like of what you're wanting for the style to like perfect in.
Mm. Gotcha.
Um, but no, everything else with like introducing different styles of everybody in universes, I feel like they're really good about that. Um, but did you want to touch on anything before we get into the Hobie part, or did you want to really talk about him now?
Yeah, I really want to get
Okay.
into
Um,
whole Hobie round.
so with me introducing, so Hobie is Spider Punk. I knew nothing about Spider Punk besides seeing him in like the Spider-Man game on the PlayStation, what, 4 or 5.
Mm.
And this is a whole different like design and stuff, and I loved it. And just for me to interject a little bit before like you go like heavy down on him, his style is great. His Stark style, like it's so like contrasting from all the other characters, and that's visual storytelling. It's supposed to tell a reason, and I'll go more in depth once I let you talk about your boy Hobie.
See, I love Hobie Brown. I love that
Mm,
character. Like in comics, I loved him, but I'm so glad he got brought into like main media, and I'm
mm-hmm.
glad that the Across the Spider-Verse crew were the people to do it. Because I literally can't imagine a better representation of the character. Like from like the spray paint eyes and like the torn
Oh my god.
clothes.
Yeah, that it was all the buttons, all like you're just going on like physical features and stuff, and that everything was great. Like I love his character.
Mhm. Like just physically, like just design wise, his design is immaculate. Like it just represents him perfectly. But like even the way he's written was perfect because he has this like edge to him and this like I, let's run against authority, but he's still Spider-Man at the end of the day. He has a sense of responsibility and like right and wrong and stuff like that. Like he's still doing looking out for the people. But and I feel like they were able to balance that perfectly because they could have easily made him like low key an asshole. Like they could have done that so easily, and I was kind of
Yeah.
scared of that, honestly, especially with the well, we're okay. Are we far enough to go into story stuff? Or-
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go into, like his design and how it contributes to the story, and how I think is gonna lead up to the third movie. Which spoilers, there's gonna be a third movie. This is probably gonna be a trilogy. And I'm
Hmm.
fully down with that. I think that's a great decision. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
So there was rumors and stuff, or well, there was a writer who's kind of well, she's kind of more of a director,
Mm-hmm.
whatnot kind of thing, and she's kind of infamous for messing up Spider-Man stories. And
Oh.
she made a tweet saying that there was going to be the love triangle between Miles, Hobie, and Gwen, and
Uh,
a
like
lot of
before
people
the movie.
panicked.
This is
Yeah, like
before the
before
movie
the
came
movie even
out.
came out, she said
Uh-huh.
that, and people like panicked. And I'm so glad that it wasn't to that extent that she made it sound like, because I was scared they were gonna make
Mm-hmm.
Hobie like the bad boy, in those
Oh,
cliche movies.
just to get in the way of the protagonist, like that little mental, like he has to get over that hurdle, or like how is he gonna get the girl per se?
Yeah, and that would have
I was
been that would have been
I was
so
afraid.
destructive to his character.
Yeah,
It
I
would
was
have been
afraid of
destructive
that.
to him, Gwen, and Miles. All three of those characters would have been destroyed if they had did that. Like it would have made them look so bad. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that it didn't happen. Like there's like it's like the it goes as far as Miles is like, oh, he hangs around the girl I like. Should I be worried? It goes about that's how far it goes. And then he starts talking to him, actually like conversating with him, and he's like, yeah, this guy's he's kind of like he doesn't follow rules and stuff and all that, but he's still a cool dude. Like, and there's obviously nothing crazy going on. Like it just, and it go that's as
Uh,
far as it goes.
uh, yeah. I
There's no
disagree.
rivalry.
I
What do you
disagree.
say? What do you think?
Not like you're right, but like from my like what I got from it, I think the structure you have it right, but like it's a little bit off because they did introduce Hobie, right? And Miles is
Hmm.
obviously concerned because when at first like he what is the third Spider-Man that we meet before we see Hobie?
Uh,
What's his name?
Puppeteer?
Yeah, Hobbiter. Let me get him
Yeah,
on screen.
Spider-Man
There
India.
you go. Yeah, let me put him on screen. I don't know if you can see it, but that boy.
Yeah.
His design was really cool and everything, but we like he's so quippy and like so jokey about like his styles and stuff. We like get subtle hints about this character even before Gwen that he hangs out with this guy called Hobie and he's in a band and everything and he sounds super cool. And then we meet
Hmm.
Havisher and he's talking about Hobie and he was like, "Oh, you didn't tell him about Hobie, did you?" And then like there's also hidden things about like when Hobie comes along, he's kind of like into it. He's not worried about Miles, but he's also not worried about Miles and Gwen's relationship. He doesn't care, and that's part of his character. Um,
Right.
and we get this whole segment about let me put him back on screen. Oop, fuck. Um, damn it, pregnant Spider-Man. Yep, there he is.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, got him.
Spider-Man.
Um, Spider Woman.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is Hobie's design is really cool, but his like he gets the whole like okay, flip through the comic book pages and we learn about him, and even his like learning about him with the comic books, his style's exactly the same thing, which I loved, and it was very hard to follow along at first, but I feel like once
Mhm.
you watch it again, it's probably like you're gonna get so many Easter eggs and stuff. Um, but to go back, to get back on track of what I kind of disagree, um, that they didn't just like Miles didn't get introduced to Hobie, worried about him, and then Hobie like being cool and stuff, and like Miles talking to him, that didn't fix the his fleeting thoughts or his worries and stuff. The the thing fixed when after everything like into the thing, like Miles and Gwen, um, his security about Gwen and his relationship are put on like okay terms when they kind of have that subtle talk of like when Spider-Man's there's Gwen's in Spider-Man's universe and it normally always doesn't work out. And they kind of I think what the writers wanted to do is that like there's no romantic relationship between these characters and there shouldn't be. And it should be platonic.
Mm.
And I feel like either Miles agreed to it or like they just like okay with it. Um because later on what I want to talk about is the trans representation and the LGBTQ representation of Gwen and the Spider-Man, and how that was short and but not super short, but just short and sweet enough to like establish and improve on Gwen's character. And we'll talk more on that if we have time. Um,
Mm.
but that's what I mean is like because that's a main important part of the story is that like platonic like agreement and stuff after having those mental issues of like Miles being worried, and that's why it was so important. And then that's why he was okay because after that they didn't really have any more engagement, Miles and Hobie. It was just more like them um like they only helped each other in like Havan's universe with saving the uh disrupting the canon event. Miles did that, And then
Mm.
Hobie even got some respect for him because of that. Um, but Miles still knew nothing about Hobie or Hobie's plan. And I don't know if you want to talk about Hobie's plan and how it tied into like the big major part towards the end of the movie. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so there's a part where they're all going to meet Miguel,
Yeah,
and Hobie's just like stealing like machine parts off the wall and stuff, and just
yeah.
taking pieces of technology. And
Hmm.
it seems like it's just his rebellious like bad boy thing
Yeah, you
to
don't think
do.
anything of it at the time and stuff. And it's just like that's what beautiful about it. That's what I love.
And then but by the end of the movie, he has used all that technology to make another device that lets them transfer dimensions. So he had already been planning to do that at
Yeah, he
that
was just
point.
waiting for the right moment, and I guess he saw that in Miles.
Mm,
And he even gave like subtle clues to Miles, like during that transition scene, going up to meet Miguel and stuff. Is like, don't. I think again, this is loosely remembering, but don't forget what you're fighting for, because Hobie already knows about like the whole Spider team and like the canon like defer events. Like he and obviously he's not okay with that, and he wants to change it and stuff, and so does like all the other people, but everybody else doesn't disagree with Miguel. And like, I'll let you go more in depth with it. But I feel like that's what's really cool. And he made a device by picking off like pieces and stuff. And because he saw his opportune moment and he knew about Miles before it and how they think he's an anomaly. And we'll go more in depth on that and how that's a really cool thing. And then the whole thing about is uh, um, Miles Spider-Man or is Miles um a different thing altogether of Spider-Man, which I will get into a little bit later. Um but his whole
yeah.
Hobie's new device does not let them get tracked and stuff, and that's why it's so important to the story because he's able to give that to Gwen and which helps Miles and etc.
Yeah. Right. See, I feel like even before Miles showed up, I feel like this had to be a plan that Hobie already had in place, like to make his own device, because it really doesn't make sense for him to be a part of this whole Spider-Man association in the first place. Like, it doesn't seem like something he would do. Like, initially, like let's say this is just theories. If there was an event that endangered his universe, then yeah, he would join up for that. But after that, he doesn't really have a reason to do it unless he's, in it for helping people get untracked or helping make sure this little establishment doesn't go too far, like be on the inside and watch it closely. Like that
Yeah.
kind of feels like the only reason he would do it, really.
Mm-hmm. But I also feel like he knew like he couldn't really like realistically do anything without like a group of team, and then he sees Miles, which I know he had like not saying that Miles inspired him for the idea. It was like, oh yeah, I should probably rebel against this, what it seems like tyrannical like Miguel leading Spider group and stuff, and forcing us to believe in one and only like logical thing of if we go against the canon system, like everything's going to be like destroyed and we can't fix it, which we see in the movie that it is possible that it can be fixed because they come in with a group of Spider-Man with devices to fix the hole that the canon event being disrupted made.
Hmm. But Miguel makes a point of saying that they can't do it. They haven't succeeded every time. Like it's not 100% uh saving.
Yeah, but isn't that what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man is the risk of it all? He doesn't do it for the 100% certainty. He does it because it is morally the right thing to do and he's Spider-Man. He doesn't go up against
See,
statistic numbers
that's
from what I
something
gathered.
that's a thing about Spider-Man that a lot of people have been kind of like so about is that the fact that so many Spider people agree with Miguel is kind of insane because you wouldn't think that at first because the Spider with Spider-Man and I was going to go into this with Hobie because like I said Hobie maybe initially didn't think he was going to help Miles but it's a very Spider-Man thing to do to be like, okay, I didn't plan this, but I gotta help this kid. I see this kid needs help. I gotta help him. Like that's a very Spider-Man thing to do. And even if all odds say that there's no chance, Spider-Man has to try,
Yeah.
right? And with that aspect being such a big part of Spider-Man's character, it's so weird to me that that many Spider people are like, yeah, your dad's just kind of good. He's got to die. I'm sorry. There's not much we can do about that one.
Hmm.
Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, obviously, he has some people on his side, but I feel like it should be a lot more.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how selective Miguel is with this his little spider society though. Like, how does he recruit people? Because he could just be recruiting people who agree with him. He might just avoid spider people who wouldn't agree altogether for the
But
most part.
but how does Spider Punk there? I think what
See,
it
that's a
is.
weird one.
I think what it is that those canon events. Well, then again, Havar, like his canon event hasn't happened yet, and it was happening. But he understood. But did Havar know that the canon event is going to happen? And fuck,
Oh,
that's interesting. I want to. Can I go into a tangent real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
So like so Gwen got a notification that a canon event is happening, but they didn't know specifically what. And then she put together that the whatchamacallit, the is it it's not sheriff. What is it called?
Captain.
Captain. The
It's not
captain of
called the
that universe.
captain because in India they call it something, but he that's the equivalent.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Like,
equivalent. I appreciate you like making it to clarify so we could save us. But um in that captain's equivalently of that universe, he's about to die by trying to save a little kid. But does Javier, the Spider-Man in that universe, did he also get the notification, or did Miguel purposely not let it happen because he was trying to save both and stuff? But he never got a notification, right? While he was trying to like tie the bus and then also see that the captain's in peril. He never got a notification if you saw in the movie. I could be wrong because again, I only saw it once, but maybe that's how Miguel does it. He does it and then he tells them after. Um, but or maybe that Spider-Man of the universe did he already know, and he accepted? Because what I thought is that Miguel recruits them after they had the canon event, and then he brings them on the team so they can also secure it. Because that's everybody's
right.
mentality is that Spider-Man is not able to save everyone, and they came to terms with it. And that's a mature Spider-Man thing you're gonna do eventually, but also it's weird that they all came to terms with it in that ideology.
Yeah. That see, Spider-Man India has already had his canon. Well, not all the canon. Like he already lost Uncle Ben, is what I was trying to say. But
Oh, okay.
so I don't know if maybe he didn't know that there's even more canon events. Like, because that's a thing some people brought up. They were like, dang, there's multiple people, there's not just Uncle Ben. But yeah, in most universes, Captain Stacy or his equivalent usually does die. And
Yeah.
it's another like it's usually like the second wind because you see Spider-Man India is like super cocky. He's hasn't been
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man long, but he's getting cocky, and it's usually for Spider-Man of that universe. Captain Stacy's that like reminder that hey, this isn't a game. You have to be really careful.
Yeah.
It's like that second lesson. So I don't know. It's weird. See, if I'm gonna be honest, even if he got that notification with that whole situation with the bus, I don't think he could have done anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have sucked if he got that notification. It probably just would have made it worse.
Yeah. I I get it. That makes more sense. But it's just like I forgot what I was gonna add to that, but yeah, it's just strange. It is interesting, and maybe the third movie will go more in depth of like how he goes, or maybe it just won't. Which I'm fine either way with it, but it's just more interesting of what makes Spider-Man and like how did they all conform to that idea. But obviously Spider-Punk, is that stark contrast, and that's what goes along with this character, and I think that's why he's so like um designed that way is so, and like I think I told you already, so it can be so abstract to the viewer and the audience, to one give him significance and importance, um because there's a way in film, in all film and animation, there's implicit meanings and explicit meanings. Implicit meanings is stuff that you can, explicit meanings is stuff that you can gather on like the surface level. Like, okay, Spider Punk, he wears the jacket, he wears the spikes and stuff because he's like edgy and he's a rebel and stuff. That's obvious. But the reason why, the implicit reasons, are the internal, like reading in between the lines of the story. His design and stuff is that way. Like his, it's so jagged. The way he's animated is like on different things, and then like the guitar is
Hmm.
animated differently as well. It's supposed to be, it's not the normal way you animate, and it's supposed to be that stark contrast because in the story he's different, and his views are also going to be different, and it's so jarring to have him in that group of other Spider-Man that aren't as jarring, because other all the other Spider-Mans, they have different designs. Like one's black and white, one's the like spectacular Spider-Man design, or that gritty texture design, or of course Lego Spider-Man. But they don't have Hobie's design, which is supposed to be that implicit meaning that he wants to get away from. He doesn't agree or conform to these ideas, and that's what sets us up to like the near the climax of the story.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Like, man, Hobie's he's such a big part of it. He's very like he's like the trigger of the story almost for
yeah,
not having as much screen time as like Gwen and Miles and whatnot. And like you said, his design is man, it's so good.
mm-hmm.
Like and as far as the conformed, you know the way they animated it? Did you see like the rules they had for it? The
Yeah,
quote
yeah.
unquote rules.
I saw a video essay, and then I also saw some things on TikTok and on the website. Like they go based on these like these certain parameters, and that's it for any animation. But like having the guitar and stuff. Like I forgot the artist, but it's on Twitter. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually have pulled up right here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll let you
Like
talk about it.
the rules are like his body is animated on threes. As long as his vest is also on threes, but his vest is offset. So like they're both animated on threes, but
Mm-hmm.
they move differently. And then his guitar is on fours, which is like that's way more. And
Yeah.
then his outline is even different. His outline is on twos when he's moving,
Mm-hmm.
which is that's so trippy to me.
Do you know what
Like,
those means? Like the animating on fours, twos, and threes?
mhm.
Or
Like, but
should
yeah,
we
go
explain?
into it. Yeah, I'm sure there's some
So
people who are like, "What are you talking about?"
yeah, so in animation there's frames. So imagine taking pictures and then you have like some space in between that you show somebody these pictures. Imagine like you're just going through them. But basically those are the timings that those pictures are revealed to like the film camera or like the video. So having it on twos, like every like certain amount of seconds, every 2 seconds, those pictures are gonna be revealed, and then having those like on different timings are gonna make it like not synchronized. But it's of course is what's they're going for. Normally, you animate everything on like either threes or twos, um, or fours. I could. It's been a while. I'm still in animation school, so whatever. But
Yeah.
that's why we're having these conversations, so both me and you can learn, and then also in the comments enlighten us. I don't care. I'll read it or I won't. You know. But that's the gist of it. It's a very layman's term. It's just the timing of the animation cells, and cells are just the drawings in the animation, that is drawn by either the artist by hand or digitally or
Mm,
3D in this case.
yeah, so like you said, the so basically if animating on twos is the every 2 frames the picture changes basically. So imagine like if you haven't watched it for whatever reason, imagine his outline is outpacing his like his color and stuff. Like that's how
Mm-hmm.
it kind of works. And it has a really cool effect. And honestly it's made me kind of want to try it just to see like how it would look.
Oh
And I
yeah.
guess that's like the point, man. They're just here to inspire. Like I know so much good art that got inspired by this movie.
Oh my god, the Twitter has been ooh, I mean that's not a normal thing to say, but like Picasso, like I fucking loved all the fan art, and oh god, I need to do fan art, but you've been blasting off on fan art, dude. I am very impressed. Yeah, and your
Yeah,
OCs
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. I've been doing a couple of the spider sewing a trend has been pretty. I love that trend because it's like everyone just designs their own costume. It's so sick seeing everyone's ideas.
Um, I'm trying to look at the bookmarks that I have, because I'm gonna do a shout out thing of like the artists and stuff. But I wanted to see, I wanted to like I know we're kind of pressed on time, and hell, we could even do like a
Yeah,
second episode, part two, if you want.
yeah. We might have to do a part two because there's just
Yeah,
so much to talk about.
it's so much. But I mainly got my main point out is just Hobie's design and how it has those meanings in the story, and it's just like I really enjoy how we're having this level of storytelling in animated films. Like it has it in the past, but this style, there's meaning behind the style, and that's what I'm trying to reciprocate to the audience if they don't know. And maybe they have a different view of it. Please let us know in the comments or in the email if we have one. I don't know. Maybe we might have those. Um, but it's just gosh darn beautiful. I might say. It's
Yeah,
I don't know why I was
dude,
gonna do a goofy impression, but yeah, I love it.
gorge.
Whoosh. But it's really lightheartening to see this like with all the writer strikes and like animated films being cut out from like Netflix and stuff or like it was HBO Max but now Max, like them getting cut and people were like kind of worried about jobs and with the whole Twitter stuff. It's very breath it's a breath of fresh air to see animation still like this can be the level of animation and you can work towards this
Mm,
in like an industry standard like this is awesome. I look forward to more.
yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
For sure.
um but what you got like 3 more minutes before you gotta skedaddle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam, I gotta get ready for work. But would are you fair to say? Do you want to host part two, or should I just like continue with the idea? I think hosting part two would be cool for you to do.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
host part two.
I hope everybody enjoys the second episode of our podcast for Cafe Olympus. Thank you for letting me be the host today of episode one, or part one of Spider-Man. And then look forward to we will release every Wednesday. We will release every Wednesday. Uh, our schedule's still coming out. Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
uh,
it's a little loose right
yeah.
now, but we'll get it. We'll get a
Yeah,
hang of it.
we record every Wednesday, and we're figuring out good scheduling times for the both of us. But so far, like I haven't been enjoying these podcast sessions a lot. Honestly,
Mhm.
it's been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything you want to shout out, Rob, or say to the audience?
Shoot. I say is if you haven't seen Spider, go see Spider-Verse. When you leave the
Yeah.
theater, go home and draw something, create something, get inspired. And take it
Um,
easy, man.
yeah, definitely take it easy. I'll shout out all the artists and everyone in the credits for the new Into the Spider Verse or Across the Spider Verse movie. Fred, please put every beautiful person on screen. I don't care how you do it, just do it. Specifically Chris An- Anka. He's one of the characters and costume designers. He was a huge um, help for like even sharing like a bunch of art, and he plans, at least from the Twitter that I've been following. He's on Twitter at Krista Anka. It's at KRISTAFERANKA on Twitter. He plans to release more like character design concepts and stuff of the movie. He designed, I believe, Miguel from the movie, and he's been like a
Mm.
huge source of inspiration and knowledge for me. Doing a little bit of studying to talk about the podcast. So definitely go give him a follow. And then everybody else who you see doing fan art, give them huge like likes and updates on Reddit, whatever, because I appreciate all of them. Beautiful people. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's my shout out. Um, but yeah, you fellows and fellas, ladies, have a good day. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Have a good one. Bye bye.